Welcome to Liberty Monday with Monday. In this episode, we continue our careful examination of the Declaration of Independence by moving to the third and fourth grievances. These grievances deepen the case against the British Crown by showing how political power was used not merely to obstruct self-government, but to coerce submission and weaken representative institutions. Where the first two grievances focused on refusing and delaying laws, these next two reveal something even more troubling: attempts to make liberty conditional and to manipulate legislatures into obedience through inconvenience and pressure. Why these grievances matter? The founders understood that liberty depends on representation and deliberation. A people cannot govern themselves if their right to representation is treated as negotiable, or if their legislatures are physically manipulated into surrender. The third and fourth grievances show how tyranny does not always appear through force. Often, it advances through coercion, exhaustion, and leverage. Grievance 3, conditioning laws on surrendering representation. Text of the grievance. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. What this grievance means. As colonial populations grew and shifted, new districts required laws to organize local governance, courts, and representation. The Crown refused to approve such laws unless the affected people agreed to give up their right to representation in the legislature. This grievance is not about administrative delay. It is about using political necessity as leverage. Why this was a serious abuse. Representation was treated as a bargaining chip rather than a right. Large populations were denied lawful accommodation. Citizens were forced to choose between order and liberty. The Declaration describes representation as inestimable, meaning beyond price. It also makes a pointed observation: representation is formidable to tyrants only. In other words, only those who seek unchecked power fear a representative people. Importance to the Declaration's argument. This grievance shows that the Crown was not merely indifferent to colonial self-government. It was actively hostile to it. By conditioning laws on the surrender of representation, the king attacked the very mechanism through which liberty is preserved. Grievance 4, manipulating legislative locations. Text of the grievance. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. What this grievance means. The king repeatedly summoned colonial legislatures to meet in locations that were inconvenient, physically uncomfortable, and far from official records. These were not accidental choices or logistical oversights. The Declaration makes clear the intent: to wear legislators down until they complied. Why location matters in governance. Legislatures rely on records to debate and legislate responsibly. Travel imposed physical and financial strain. Distance reduced public participation and transparency. By forcing assemblies to meet under such conditions, the Crown interfered with the normal functioning of representative government. The deeper issue at stake. This grievance highlights a subtle form of tyranny: control through exhaustion. Rather than dissolving legislatures outright, the king attempted to make their work so burdensome that resistance became unsustainable. Liberty cannot survive when deliberation is replaced by fatigue. How the third and fourth grievances work together. These grievances reveal a coordinated pattern of manipulation. The third grievance attacks representation directly. The fourth grievance undermines the ability of representatives to function. Together, they show a government attempting to hollow out self-government while maintaining the appearance of legality. The people technically had legislatures, but those legislatures were coerced, weakened, and pressured into submission. Why the founders highlighted these abuses. The Declaration does not accuse the king of chaos or neglect here. It accuses him of calculated interference. These grievances matter because they demonstrate that liberty can be lost even when institutions still exist on paper. When representation is conditional and deliberation is manipulated, freedom becomes fragile. The founders understood that tyranny often prefers inconvenience over outright prohibition, because it attracts less immediate resistance. Why these grievances still matter today. The third and fourth grievances remind us that Representation must never be treated as optional. Government cannot condition basic rights on compliance. Process and location matter in legitimate governance. Fatigue and inconvenience can be tools of control. These lessons remain relevant wherever power seeks obedience without accountability. The third and fourth grievances reinforce a central truth of the Declaration of Independence: liberty depends not only on rights being acknowledged, but on institutions being allowed to function freely and honestly. In the next episode, we will continue examining the remaining grievances and how each one strengthens the case that independence was not only justified, but necessary. Thank you for watching. As always, stay informed, stay free.
Liberty calls us.